Internship in the Army, and I worked at a lot of Army hospitals. I was a dietitian in the Army, and my main duties were patient food service, dining facility menus, and food prep and education. Did a lot of education to soldiers, family members about eating well, especially military, their athletic performance. So we did a lot of sports nutrition, and also weight loss, diabetic diets, and cardiac rehab were just a few. So I thought I'd put my little Valentine's theme on here too for you. Think of food as fuel. I mean, we know. Does anybody in the room eat? No? Nobody eats in here? Okay, well, yeah, I guess I'm the only one. I'm the only one, so. Sometimes we kind of know what healthy food is, and we know what healthy food is not. Because if you've ever eaten food and like, oh, I just don't feel so good now. Has anybody ever felt like that? Super Bowl Sunday, maybe? No. I don't know about you, but hot wings are my favorite, so. But it's a treat. It's a once in a while thing. It's not like the Super Bowl is every year. Not every day, but it is every year. So food is fuel for our bodies, and think about that. Has anybody ever put some low-grade fuel in your car and see what happens? Like the cheapest stuff? I've had that happen a couple times. It kind of sputters, and the car knows it's not good. But if we think of food as fuel, and this is a Formula car. Anybody ever watch any racing with Formula One? They need super high octane fuel. And then here's the Pinto. My roommate in college had a Pinto. I kind of think of myself somewhere in between. I don't know where you think yours. I have a Subaru. It's out there. It looks just like that one. You know, kind of in the middle somewhere. But it's important to make sure that if you're putting food in your body, that it's healthy too. So these are the things that we're going to talk about, what the Bible says about food, some interesting facts about food, and how you can incorporate healthy things into your body. But you got to remember, it's your choice. You know, I'm giving this education. I once had a patient that came in, and the doctor had sent a consult for a diabetic diet, and the patient came in and he was like, I'm here for my diet. I'm like, okay. It says here, the doctor wants you to start you on a diabetic diet. He says, you have diabetes. He's like, yeah, I do. I know my blood sugars are kind of bad. And I said, well, you have a choice. You have a choice to eat well and stay healthy. Did your doctor tell you what's going to happen if you don't eat well? He says, well, if I don't eat well, then they're going to start chopping off body parts because getting all that sugar in my body, it cuts off the circulation. And so I said, okay, so you know what the good is, you know what the bad is, what's your choice? I don't want to eat a healthy diet. I said, okay, we're done. Bye. And he turned around and he left. So that's kind of an extreme situation, but the man had a choice, and I told him, you do have a choice if you want to eat healthy or not. So what does the Bible say about nutrition? So this is a quiz. I like interaction when I talk about nutrition. Does anybody have any idea how many verses in the Bible talk about food, nutrition, or some kind of food device? Just throw out a guess. We got 3 guesses.
40.
20?
40.
40?
365.
1,200 verses in the Bible say something about food, whether it's grain, wine, fruit. Yeah, a lot of verses. So we're not going to talk about all of them today. My first verse, I'm going to talk about 3 different verses in the Bible that talk about nutrition. And the first one is a big one. And I gave you a hint. What do you think that might be in Matthew? Does anybody remember? Fish and what? Bread. Okay. So what happened? There's a large group of people gathered, and Jesus comes to shore, and the disciples said, hey, send all those people away. We don't have enough food for all these people. And Jesus said, no. No, we don't. But they don't need to go away. You give them some food. But we only have 2 fishes and 5 loaves. And what did Jesus say? Yeah, bring them to me. I'll make enough food for everybody. And guess what? So he gave thanks, he broke bread, and fed all of them with 12 baskets left over. So that's a lot of leftovers that they had to eat. So Ezekiel, did I miss one? Oh, I had 1 and a 1. Okay, never mind. So in Ezekiel, I like this one too. It says, trees grow by the river with a fruit for food and leaves for healing. So we know a lot of our medicine these days comes from plant sources, and that's where they get derived from, is what God has given us is plants, trees, all kinds of herbs. even though this isn't in the Bible, but I'm sure you've all heard of this, the Hippocratic Oath, first, do no harm. So even 400 years before Christ, your ancient philosophers and doctors knew the value and healing of food. This is kind of the dietitian oath. Let food be thy medicine, and medicine be thy food. Because God has created food for us. It has the nutrients, the nutrition that we need. But things have changed a lot in the last 100 years or so, as we know. And my third verse, this is one of my favorites. So ever since I was in Sunday school as a little girl, I got baptized when I was 10. And I always remember this from Sunday school. In 1 Corinthians it says, do you not know that your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit, who is in you, inside you, whom have you received from God? You are not your own. You are bought at a price. Therefore, honor God with your bodies. So that told me, pay attention to what you're doing to take care of your body or not. Because God is in here. This is his house. And so I want to take care of my house if this is where God is living. So meaning the Holy Spirit is in me. I don't want it to be a broke down cardboard box. I want to take good care of it. So what can I do to take care of myself? Think about, what does your body need? How does my body feel?
McDonald's.
Yep, McDonald's, yeah. What can I do differently to eat better? Do I need to eat differently? Maybe drink more water, sleep, rest, all the things, go for a walk, taking care of yourself. Because every day we make 1,000 tiny little decisions about how we're going to take care of ourselves. Every little thing from the time you get up in the morning, am I going to have coffee? Am I going to have water? Am I going to have orange juice? What am I going to have for lunch? What am I going to, am I going to go out and take a little walk today, or am I going to stay inside and sit on the couch? Probably the couch because it's Super Bowl Sunday, but every day you have to make all these choices about your body. So what foods did God give us? Probably not the pasta, but this was the best picture I could find anyway. I mean, he gave us the wheat to make the pasta. But some interesting facts about food. Think about 100 years ago, so pretty much everybody grew their own food. They canned it. It came from the ground. They slaughtered their own, pigs, chickens, whatever, for their meat. Everything was pretty organic then. Now, today, organic is a big deal. I mean, if you buy something organic, do I have my organic stuff in here? Oh, nope, I think I left it. But if you buy organic at the store, it's usually more expensive, right? Because now they put so many different chemicals in food, that's the norm, not the normal organic foods. So God gave us foods, but remember the bottom line is to look and feel healthier, you need to eat healthier, choose foods that are closer to what God made, is the more natural state. But he also gave us power to make our choices, and every day we choose what to eat. Unless you're, living with your parents under a roof and they're cooking all the food and buying the groceries, most of us do have a general, choices on what we get to eat. So today's food industry, so think about what is in the grocery store when you're walking around, and hopefully you're not crossing the picket lines at King Soopers, but think about the grocery store in general without the picket lines. Is the food industry has made convenience foods very normal. And they have they're manipulated with all kinds of chemicals and GMOs. Does anybody really know, what does GMO stand for? Does anybody?
Genetically modified?
Yes, genetically, modified. It means it's changed organisms. So that means they've gone in and they've changed a bunch of stuff in it. So 100 years ago, this is what bananas used to look like. And a lot of your places that don't genetically modify, they're tiny. They're about this big. They're really tiny. Now look at the ones on the right. That's what they look like in the grocery store because they've been genetically modified. So a lot of our foods are genetically modified, even our fruits and vegetables. So processed.
Does that affect nutrition?
It does somewhat because a lot of times it has more water in it and the nutrients get diluted in, and it changes some of the nutrients. Now I grew up on a farm, and when we grew our own food, oh my gosh, a tomato just had a burst of flavor and it was juicy and it was red. And now you go to the grocery store and if you had a tomato, it's just kind of watery and it doesn't have a whole lot of flavor. So I'm a lot of us are older, but thinking about back when we were growing things in the garden, you know what we fertilized it with it? Yep, cow poo. We took it out of the barn and we dumped it on the food. That was the organic food back then. So, but this makes unnaturally perfect foods. I mean, look at the apples, they will only sell perfectly shaped apples or perfectly shaped bananas. What happens to the other stuff? A lot of it gets wasted. So GMOs are how we get these bigger fruits and vegetables, and convenience food have taken over. But we got to think about what are the foods that we can eat to try to at least improve our health where we're at right now. So what about this question? I think that was your McDonald's question. So the food industry is not dumb. They need to make money. So how do they make money? They add this stuff to the food to make it taste good, and then we get addicted to it. So you add salt, sugar, fat, and it just makes your taste buds kind of do the happy dance in there. They're like, woohoo, this food tastes good. But stress and anxiety in our lives can also make us crave those types of things. So they also know that when people are stressed out, they're not exercising enough, they're not taking care of themselves, their body is stressed and they will crave these types of foods. In fact, we talk about a diet high in sugar can trigger the same part of your brain that cocaine does. So this is kind of a joke that the dietitians used to have, is when people eat a lot of sugar, they're basically addicted to sugar cocaine, because that's the part of your brain that it affects. So the more sugar you have in your diet, the more that it triggers that happy place. You feel good for a while, and then guess what? Boom! It goes down. You're like, oh, I need more sugar, I need more sugar. It's a very addictive cycle, and it can take anywhere from 5 to 7 days for a person to actually detox from sugar because it's so addictive. Also, these additives like MSG, monosodium glutamate, can suppress a hormone in your body. It's called leptin. So there's this little hormone in your body called leptin, and it's called the satiety fullness hormone. So leptin's floating around in there, and it goes to the brain and says, okay, you've eaten enough, boom, you're done. But what happens a lot sometimes, we're like, oh, that still tastes good. I think I want to eat some more. And it's that sugar, the salt, and the fat that our taste buds are saying, oh, I want more, I want more. But our brain and our stomach are saying, I'm done. But we don't listen to those signals enough sometimes. So this is the big question, how can you incorporate healthy food habits into your lifestyle? Number one, it's your choice. You don't have to. I'm just giving you some options here to say, there's a lot of things that you can do to take better care of your body, and diet is one of them. And guess what? Most of us probably eat every day, so we have choices every day on what we're eating. The other one is the 80-20 method. So what I call this is a really simple method. It's not a special diet. It's basically eat healthy 80% of the time, and 20% of the time have little treats. Whether it's 80% of the time drink water, 20% of the time drink soda or coffee or something else, or 80% of the time try to make good choices, and 20% of the time have not so good choices. But 80% means the big chunk of the time that you try to eat healthier foods. In addition to that, I've also learned that teaching people about food and diet, you just don't give somebody a diet and say, here you go, be on your way, happy, because it's really hard I can't follow a diet. And I don't follow a diet. I basically follow the 80-20 rule. I try to eat natural foods most of the time, and I follow the hunger scale. I only eat when I'm hungry. If I'm not hungry, I don't eat. I just try to keep it really simple to stay healthy.
Real quickly, one more time, what's the 80-20?
I'll talk a little bit more about it here in a second here. So here's the hunger scale. There's a lot of them out there. But this is what I've taught a lot of the soldiers and the family members when I was in the military as a dietitian, and also just kind of for myself. So we think about number one, it's kind of like the pain scale. You go to the doctor and they say, what's your pain level? 1 to 10, right? 1 is, our food scale, we're saying, I'm starving, I'm hungry, I could just basically eat the paint off the walls right now, right? And then we're kind of in the green zone. I'm satisfied, really don't feel like eating, and I'm not really hungry, and I'm probably good. And then 10 is Thanksgiving dinner. You just ate like a bazillion calories, and you're laying on the couch, and everybody's taking a nap because you're so full, and your stomach hurts, and you're like, oh, I'm never eating again till the leftovers tonight when we eat dinner, type of thing. But, so when we're looking, remember that leptin hormone I was talking about? It tells you when you're full. So we're over here. You should start eating about 2 or 3. When you're starting to feel a little hungry, but you're not like hangry, like, I'm just gonna eat something. And so we wait till we get down about here in the yellow zone and like, I'm kind of hungry. I need to get a snack. So have a snack, small meal. You only want to get to about here, where around the 7, 8 range, where you're like, you know what? I'm satisfied, but I'm not stuffed. I'm okay. And you know what? That's really, really hard to do because most of us are really used to eating until we're full. Maybe an 8 or 9, and not stopping, because it takes your brain about 20 minutes to be like, oh, I should kick in the leptin to tell you to stop eating. Zzz, leptin, turn on. Zzz. Now we're eating just enough. So you want to try to stay between this, like the 4 and 7 zone most of the time. Don't get too hungry. Don't get too full. In Japan, they call it hare hachibunmi, which means eat until you're 80% full. So I don't know about you, but they kind of know a lot of stuff about nutrition, health, and this is kind of a thing that they've talked about a long time is you don't eat till you're full, you eat till you're satisfied. So really listening to your belly. All right, now we're going to do show and tell, because that's what dietitians do. We like to bring food models. So in choosing natural foods when possible, I have a hint for you. And the hint is you should be able to understand and recognize the foods on the label. If you don't, it's probably not a real healthy food because there's all those additives in there. Let's see what we got in here. Okay, I got my nice healthy Skinny Pop, and I brought this stuff here too. Oh, it has mixed cofferols in there. What is that? Well, I don't know. Let's see, what does this have in it? This has, popcorn, butter, sea salt. Okay, well, maybe I'll have that. I know all the ingredients. I can read all of them on the label. And the Skinny Pop, I think this is one of my favorites. This is a good one. Does this have preservatives in it? Oh, it says popcorn, sunflower oil, sea salt. Good choice. She brought those for us. All right, let's look at this one. Old-fashioned oats. Okay, but I like to put stuff on here too. I like to put pecans on mine, maybe a little brown sugar. Brown sugar's not bad. You can use a little sugar sometimes. Maybe put a little cinnamon on there, right? This is a better choice than buying the prepackaged stuff because what happens with the prepackaged stuff, they got to put preservatives and all these different flavorings in there, all that kind of stuff. So choosing healthier foods means sometimes it takes a little more planning or maybe other ingredients that you have to add to it. Okay, now this is one of my favorite snacks. So I don't really like a lot of sweets. I'm kind of a salty, crunchy person. It seems like there's 2 categories. There's like the sweets and the people that like the salty, crunchy. I'm the salty, crunchy. So it has a little bit of, they're pretzels dipped in chocolate, so I get a little bit of chocolate. This is usually what I have for dessert. And we found too that when they do experiments with people to find out when they feel full and when they're satisfied with their food, it's usually the first 3 to 5 bites that you get the most satisfaction from. And after that, your taste buds kind of go dull. So it doesn't take much, just a little bit. So having, a little handful of these for a snack keeps me pretty satisfied. Okay, I got this for my birthday, which was a couple days ago. But obviously I haven't eaten it yet because I know when I eat sugar, it just makes me feel ill. Because I've gotten off sugar. It was really hard to get off sugar, but now that I don't even crave sugary foods anymore. And I'm not saying this to show off. I'm just saying, for me now, my body's kind of detoxed from the cocaine sugar, and when I eat this, I just feel yucky. I just get a stomach ache and a headache, so it doesn't make me feel good. Okay, and then we think, okay, so God gave us these potatoes. How many things can we make out of potatoes? Everything, right? Okay, so we got our golden waffle fries here. And yes, I did have these in my freezer because that's why I have the package. Now let's see, so it does have potatoes, vegetable oil in it, dextrin, sodium acid, pyrophosphate, bicarbonate. Okay, so yeah, there's probably stuff in there that's not so good. I might have these once a week, maybe a couple times a month. Throw a few in the air fryer, make them. It's a treat. Like I said, 80-20. I don't have to not eat things that I like, or you don't have to either. But it's all about making choices. Now on potatoes, I like to get Little can of chili, put half the can of chili, heat it up, throw it on here, put a little bit of cheese, a little sour cream maybe. So you have a wide variety of foods. You want to make sure you get some kind of protein at every meal. And a couple last little things. Even if you're looking at cans, oh, there's my chili. That's really good stuff too, by the way. Even with soups, like this is Progresso tomato soup. It has cornstarch, garlic powder, basil, butter. I can read all those foods too, so that must not be too bad. So that's what my point is, when you're reading labels, if you can understand most of the ingredients, then it's probably a healthier food, especially if it's packaged. Now, obviously in the produce section, you're gonna have much healthier foods because they're generally pretty close to nature. All right, so planning ahead your meals. One thing I found out, especially being in the military with a lot of these young soldiers, and people pretty much younger than 40, they don't know how to cook. So a lot of people just don't want to take the time or effort to cook. But I will tell you there are some shortcuts. If you go to Pinterest, that's my favorite. A lot of quick 30-minute meals. You got a picture, you got simple ingredients, you have a recipe that you can throw together some food, or throw together a large batch, put it in little freezer containers and stick it in the freezer and have it for later. But if you're planning ahead meals and you're trying to eat healthier, it does take a little more effort. It takes some planning, takes some time. You have to plan out making a grocery list. So this is my scribbly grocery list. I have an app on my phone, it's called Out of Milk. So whenever I run out of something, I just add it to my little app on my phone when I go to the store. And then I have a little recipe over here. This is Monday through Sunday, and it's got a grocery list on the side. It doesn't have to be fancy, but you can post menus on the fridge, board, or a notepad. It's just planning your meals. It's just saying you're standing in the fridge just going, I don't know what to make for dinner, you know, or every night, guess what's the big question? Mom, what's for dinner? You know? So even if you're just cooking for yourself or you're cooking for a group of people, this can help. I got this off of Amazon, of course. So Wednesday I have roast and potatoes, Thursday pork chop and sweet potato, Friday hamburger and french fries. So it's not complicated, it's just, okay, I had to take 5 seconds to think, what do I have in the house? What do I need to get to the store? What am I gonna eat this week? So it just take like once a week, usually Sunday afternoon, I come up with my little list of what I'm gonna get at the grocery store. I think we're good on the rest of that. So making sure you're getting some protein at each meal and fiber to help improve that satiety or that fullness, because your leptin hormone, that you're going to help that turn off its signal there. And as we're wrapping it up here, since it's already February, you know, what is January usually? The resolution month. What are your resolutions that you've had? Lose weight. What are we going to do to lose weight? I don't know. I can kind of have that every year. So I guess I need to be more specific. So since it's February, there's only 11 months left. So let's think about what are some goals that you might have for 2025. So let's say for February, and I just want you to take one goal at a time. This is what I put up here. One thing. That's it. Don't work on 10. Don't work on 15 things. Don't try to change the world. We're going to pick one thing. Okay, on February, my goal is every day I'm going to try to work on the hunger scale. I'm going to say, what is my belly telling me? Am I hungry? My mouth might be a little hungry, but my belly's not really hungry. March, getting to bed a little earlier. I get to bed early. I can't put the phone down sometimes, so I have got to put that phone down or I know I don't sleep good. Guess what? Poor sleep increases hunger. So if you're not sleeping well, yes. If you are not sleeping well and you're staying up too late, your body is in kind of like survival mode, like, wow, I didn't get enough sleep. We got to get some more food. We need to eat because I got to wake up. I got to get more energy. April, maybe just plan on getting a little bit more sunshine. That brings vitamin D. Now, I went to a website that says, so how does vitamin D work in our body? It was an explanation this long with most words I couldn't pronounce. So basically the sun turns on a little precursor in your system to turn on the vitamin D. Now for 20 years, I worked in a basement of a hospital in food service, right? When I got out of the military, I'm like, I don't know why I'm so tired. And they said, your vitamin D doesn't even register on the chart. Number one, because I'm a redhead, I wear hats and sunscreen. Number two, I lived in the basement of a hospital for 20 years. So getting low vitamin D can be a cause of fatigue, So you can either take it as going outside or as a supplement. So I choose to take it as a supplement. I do get outside, but I do have to wear a lot of sunscreen. That's just my situation. You have to think about what works for you. Maybe drink more water. How much is enough water? We're like, I don't like the taste of water. That's what I hear all the time. Well, we said 80% water, maybe 20% other beverages. This is what I do. I get these little packets, and I just put a little bit in. I don't put the whole thing in there. I might just put a little bit in to get a little bit more flavor, maybe some little lemonade packets. Put a little bit of that in there just to get you to drink enough water. Guess what? How much water is your body made of? Did they put it on there? Oh, ding, ding. Your body's made of 60% water. So if you're not drinking enough water, guess what happens here in high altitude? It dries you out, but you don't feel it. You don't really feel sweaty, or you don't feel the water leaving your body. But most people are dehydrated. And remember, water also helps regulate your appetite. So if you're not getting enough sleep and you're dehydrated, you're going to feel hungry. But if you're hydrated and you're getting enough sleep, your body's going to get those hunger signals properly. So let's just say a 175-pound person divided by 2.2 kilograms is 79 ounces of water per day. So that's about 80 ounces of water per day, just to give you an idea there. Now, I will tell you, since I moved to Commerce City, it's probably the worst tasting water I've ever had. So, not Northglenn. Okay, so what I did is I got one of those Brita water pitchers, and I have to fill it up like 20 times a day so I can drink the water, because I don't want to pay for bottled water. But drinking water, you got to think about what are some things that I can do to help myself drink more water. Is to have a water bottle. We got our water here at church when we come to church. You know, you really have to make a focused effort on getting more water in your diet. Okay, so here we go. We're going to wrap it up. With all this information on the media, on the internet, and what celebrities tell us, it can be kind of confusing. But there are many factors that impact your daily food choices. What are some we just talked about it. What are some things that affect your food choices every day?
Sleep.
Okay, sleep. What else? Water.
Vitamin D.
Vitamin D might affect it, yes. Stress, anxiety, if you're going out to dinner with somebody, how much exercise you've had. There's a lot of different things. So what can you do to control your choices about food? Choose. It is a choice. You know, you can choose to try to eat better, eat healthier, drink more water, try to get more sleep. But what did I say? Maybe just pick one thing. Try not to fix everything all at once. Your body is a temple. Take care of it. And also remember, too, that, oops, what did I just do? There we go. I did so good all the way through to the last slide. Practice the 80-20 method. Remember thinking about, I'm going to try to eat healthier 80% of the times, and 20% I get to have a little treat. It's not an all or nothing. It's progress, not perfection. There's some small changes in your diet. You got to give yourself some grace. Take a little bite at a time. Maybe plan some meals. Work on one goal at a time. Just take a little bit. You only get one body. You got one temple to work on. So I just encourage you to take care of it. And I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you have. If you have questions, let's just talk about questions good for the group. And then if you have specific questions afterwards, you can come ask me like your specific questions.
So, depending on what you're dealing with your body, how do you manage multiple diet? Things like your PCOS diet and diabetic diet and low sodium. How do you manage those all at once? What's your...
You probably definitely have to sit down with a dietitian to try to work it all out, to say what things are most important priority, because there's some patients, like I've seen people that diabetic diet, their kidneys are in bad shape and they need to manage your diet, and there's nothing I can eat. So it really takes a professional to sit down with you and work out a plan that works for you. It's a custom diet. It's not just something you can just say, I don't know what to eat type of thing. Right. So I would encourage you to go to a professional, and they can really help you plan out something. Anybody else have questions? Y'all know what you need to do?
Can you comment on the importance of protein in your diet? A healthy amount?
Yes. So
and why?
Yes. So what are some types of protein? When you think of protein, what do you think of?
Fish.
beef, eggs. You can also things of beans and rice. Okay, that's a complete protein. So I got beans and rice. Sometimes I just don't feel like cooking meat. So I'll have beans and rice, maybe a little cheese on there. That's a complete protein for your body. What protein does is it helps with that leptin, and it helps make sure your body feels full. So if you eat too many carbohydrates or too many starchy foods all by themselves, like too much rice or too many potato chips, what it does is it doesn't help control your hunger. So protein and fat actually help control your hunger. It's really the carbohydrates that really triggers the overeating a lot of times. Any other questions?
I know there's some people out there that don't have the luxury to get food. And if you go somewhere like food banks, they give you junk. And I mean, or day-old bread, 22-day-old donuts.
Oh my goodness.
I'm like, when you're trying to do the 80-20 and you're trying to make this, I know there's people that struggle to reach that mark because, the price of like
Eggs. Yeah.
horrible.
I know.
And then for someone in that predicament, how would they want to change their diet to, if all they had is like junk to what, like the fuel to their body?
Right. So that's a very good question, and that is something that I didn't really talk about a lot was, there is, one of the choices in eating is your finances, because buying, organic fruits and vegetables is just cost prohibitive sometimes. Sometimes I'll just say, okay, one thing is going to be organic and that's it. That's all I'm, maybe blueberries, because that's the one fruit that I really want to eat right now is going to be organic. Everything else I'm just going to have to buy the basic stuff. There's a lot of canned meals that can be good choices. And to your point, I think probably the best thing would do is to help you or to provide some resources. There are a lot of resources out there that say if you're on a limited budget, these are some like menus or diets that might be helpful. So you can do something with the foods that you're getting. So part of our internship we worked with the food bank a lot. We worked with Meals on Wheels to help people, make choices on what you're going to choose for your meal, or this is what they're giving me, what do I do with it, type of thing. So that would be something that we could continue.
Well, you said with Meals on Wheels, but do you realize that some of that is over 60 or 65 years of age? So anybody younger in that part that might need that, I've seen some of their meals too, and they have no sodium, they look bland, and they look like, I don't know.
They look disgusting.
Yeah.
It depends on where you're getting them from, because I've seen some food banks that are pretty good.
Yeah, that one was.
Angel's cute with that. Angel's something that they'll say,
Yeah.
their food looks way better than the one. I'll tell you, my clients won't eat those oils even though that's what they're getting. Because it just is not, doesn't taste good.
Yeah.
This seems to be, you brought this up, a huge epidemic in Western civilization, in America. Because here we have the low income food banks that are providing, they're not really food.
Right. It's a lot of packaged kind of leftover junk food that people are dumping off,
Lots of beans.
Yeah.
This is something to probably think about. How can I ask the Lord, okay, God, help me. I want to have a good, steady diet plan so I can, take care of my body. Because what I'm getting from the food bank is not the best.
Right.
So this is, we will have to come up with, pray, Lord, help us come up with a solution.
Yes.
Even at school, it's crazy. It's a bunch of different ethnicity, and I guess there's so many different kinds, but that might not feel that one person. It might feel the next person, but not the one that really needs it.
Right.
Right, well, and then go back to school lunch. They get French toast sticks. And really, they're not getting the nutrients like I did.
I feel your pain on these because I've looked at the food service menus. That was part of my job in the military, was looking at the children's menus at school and in the daycare centers. And it's really hard because you have so many different children from so many different backgrounds, and you're trying to provide enough foods. Plus, the schools get a very limited budget on what they can buy. So it's like a catch-22 sometimes. But I'd be more than happy to talk to you offline, maybe a little bit, to give you some resources and to help you out with that.
One more thing, I'm sorry, I'm dealing with them hogging things. Is milk, the hormones that are in milk, is this causing early puberty in some girls?
That is a very good question. That is, I think, up for debate. There is some research on that, and it's not just milk, because a lot of the milk now is BHT free. That a lot of the milks now, they're not putting that hormone, because what they do is they give the cow a shot, so it produces more milk, but the hormone comes out in the milk. So a lot of farms are now, or a lot of the USDA has restrictions on what they can give their animals, so it doesn't come out in the milk. So if you look at the label of the milk, it usually says BHT or hormone-free milk, and that's not the organic, it's like all the milk, right?
So how much sugar do they add to milk?
It has natural milk. It's called natural sugar. It's called lactose. Lactose is a natural sugar, right?
Yeah.
So it breaks down into lactose.
That's what they claim. Jayla is early puberty is
Right.
milk. That's what's her fuel.
Right. I think I'll talk to you afterwards about that, but let's go ahead and wrap it up. I just wanted to give you a little information about nutrition, that I'm a resource that you can come to and ask questions to. I don't know everything, obviously. I have to look stuff up. But I appreciate your time and your attention, and thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to talk to you about food. Okay.